Hi, it's me. This will be a little bit of a less edited episode. This is sort of just a stream of consciousness because I have shingles. I have shingles. If you don't know, it's like a rash you can get if you've had the chicken pox before. It's basically something that 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds get often. It's a very big nursing home problem. It took a long time to get diagnosed because no one thought that I had it because I'm 25. Um, it can happen because of autoimmune stress, which as a PTSD girly I'm familiar with, my body is keeping the score. I'm just sort of dealing with an old person disease. Matthew keeps calling it like syphilis or scurvy. Like we keep referring to the shingles as different old timey disorders. Like, oh my god, your gangrene's back, like that type of thing. So I'm currently a shingles girly. So I will not be getting high this episode, and that's fine, by the way. But I do want to catch up with you. I feel like we haven't talked in a long time, and I have a lot of like media updates to do and a lot of things that I've been just like invested in lately that I want to catch you up on. However, I won't be editing this episode. So this is just going to be my loose thoughts, loosely. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, first, in terms of my segments of the pod, we're going to do Roses and Thorns. I would say highlight of my week, Sam's birthday party. My friend Sam Rocha turned 30 and had this big birthday party at our friend's house. It was so fun. I made her a birthday cake. I'll try to insert the photo if I can. And it was just a blast. I also got someone's number, just like a friend of a friend. It was actually very cool. This is also my starting a cult for being a good wing woman. I don't meet people in person. Like, it's hard to meet people in person is what I'm trying to say. I think a lot of my friends are doing apps, etc. And I'm trying to meet people in person. And I saw this girl at this party and I thought she was really cute. Matthew was with me and I didn't really talk to her that much, but we got home and I was like, shit, I wish I would have hit on that girl. And he's like, yeah, I thought you were going to. Nothing happened. I go to a coffee shop the next day and this girl's friend is the barista at the coffee shop. And she says to me, my friend thinks you're hot. Like just out of like just straight up, my friend thinks you're hot, which I think is a very iconic way to wing woman. Like I know some people might not be comfy with that, but it's very get to the point. And then I get this girl's number from her friend, which rocks. So once I don't have a rash anymore, I will be reaching out to her. So that was kind of fun and exciting. And the party was just really fun. I love hanging out with my friends. I think a lot of my friends are in their 30s now, and I find myself feeling more stable around them. I think it's nice to have people that have experienced more brain development than me. I really appreciate it. Thorn of the week would definitely be the shingles. Definitely. Would be the painful rash down my body. It's okay if I don't want to talk about my rash too much, but it's all I think about right now. If you have not had shingles before, it's like an inflammation of your nerves, which is insane. It's not like a regular, like just a skin rash. It's like your nerves are inflamed and very painful. So I have like crazy nerve pain at the moment, which is not ideal, which is why I'm wearing very loose clothes. If you're listening, you didn't need to know that, but you can just sort of picture the rash. Another rose from the week. About 2 weeks ago, I had my Hannah and Friends show in Chicago, which is my first solo show. It was like me doing a half hour of stand-up, and then I had some friends come open for me. It was Sam Rocha and Grace Kilpatrick and Lucy Fronte, and it was so fun. I went home and cried after. It was like such a beautiful experience. It was like 45 people, very small theater, but we sold it out, which was really exciting. I wish I could have had more people come and sell tickets, but I didn't have any evidence for the theater that I was at that I could sell more tickets, if that makes sense. So like I couldn't get a bigger room because they were like, you've never sold out a show before, so how do we know you could? Anyway, you get it. We sold out very quickly. I will try to get more dates soon of Hannah and Friends, but we did this really fun thing called Confessional, which I do on the pod, where I had the audience answer juicy questions on stage, and it was so fun. And I've talked about this before, but I feel crazy being an internet person, being a podcaster, being someone that talks at you sometimes and doesn't get a reply. So like it meant the world to me to hear live on stage from you guys. You know what I mean? Like it was very cool. I felt very lucky in that moment. And then when I got home, I cried because I love performing with my friends. I had like it was like a very spiritual experience for me, which might sound corny, but I've only been doing stand up for a couple years now, and I feel so close to it. And like, it feels very spiritual to me in the sense that it is something that can keep me afloat if everything else goes wrong. Like I used to feel that way about religion largely. Like if someone dies or if everything goes wrong, I know I'm going to be okay because I'm a member of this church, is like always how I felt. And then when I left, I kind of lost that feeling of having a buoy, kind of like having something that in the face of the suffering that happens naturally when you're a person that's alive will keep me going. I didn't have that for a while. And so I was really, really depressed. And then with stand up, I've just been like, oh, I'm going to be okay. Like I have this sense of security and safety again that I was missing for so long. And I'm just really grateful for it. So I love you guys. And if you came, thank you so much. And thank you for letting me tell your juicy stories on stage. It was so fun. My thorn of the week is that I almost got scammed on the internet and I felt like a 65-year-old. Like I feel like a 65-year-old already because of the shingles, but I almost fell for an internet scam and had to like cancel my credit cards and it was really embarrassing. But I got Poshmark and I've never sold anything on Poshmark before, but I bought a bunch of like cute shoes and stuff, which was cute and fun, and I love like repurposing clothes ethically, etc. But a bot messaged me that they wanted to buy my stuff and I kind of almost fell for it, and then I got like a weird charge on my card that I had to dispute. It's fine. But getting internet scammed is always kind of humbling because I don't even know. I won't explain the details of the scam because it makes me feel dumb, but that was disheartening and that was a tough part of the week. Plus, I would say the rash would be my two worst parts of the week. I don't have any weed, which feels weird for this episode. It's weird to be like, usually when I film these episodes, I think I'm having muscle memory. I'm like bracing to be high, but I have not taken anything. I'm just sort of riding the high of the rash. I'm going to start a cult for reading again. I know I always do this, but I'm on a new reading kick. And basically what happens is that every like 2-3 months, I decide that I'm a reader again and I read a bunch of books and then I get burnt out and then I stop. But right now I'm reading again and I think you should too. I'm going to tell you what books I've been reading lately because I think that will be fun for you. I just read Yesteryear, which is like a big trending book about an influencer that basically wakes up in the 1850s and has to like live out the life that she's been promoting as an influencer, which to me sounded like an interesting concept. A lot of you, I got like 4 or 5 DMs from people that were like, have you read Yesteryear? So I was like, oh my God, okay, I'll read it. And I did. I don't love reading religious stuff. And I think maybe growing up in a religious environment makes me have a little bit more empathy for these women. Because on one hand, I do think that promoting religion, promoting organized religion, promoting homophobia and subjugation of women sucks. But if we want to really explore influencers, trad wives as a concept, I think you have to give them a little bit more depth as to like, even though to outsiders it may seem ridiculous to hold on to these religious beliefs, to the people that hold them it is very real. I think a lot of people that are religious do genuinely hold being a good person as important to them, and this book just, I feel like, didn't treat the main character that way, so it was really weird. I also was not obsessed with the ending. The first half was really compelling though. It was definitely a page turner. Like I read it pretty much in a day and a half, in 2 days, which is faster than I read a lot of books. So like, it's compelling, it's interesting. I was disappointed by the ending, but that's not to say that you shouldn't read it, but I did just read it and it was interesting. I'm also reading Kelly Bishop's memoir, The Third Gilmore Girl, and it's beautiful so far. She's like a fascinating woman. She played Emily in Gilmore Girls, and she was a chorus girl, a Broadway dancer in the 70s, and then transitioned into being an actress, and she's so compelling as a person. I'm reading her. So what I like to do when I read is I like to read a physical book and then listen to the audiobook at the same time because my ADHD kind of doesn't let me like, I don't know, be in my thoughts for too long. So I'll listen and read at the same time. So I'm doing that with her audiobook, and hearing her read it is a really fun experience that I highly recommend you have. But she was like, in the 1970s, she beat out Patti LuPone for a Tony, which is fascinating. She like originated the role of Sheila in a chorus line. I'm a very big musical theater girl, so it was like it's a really fun read for me to get some Broadway Hollywood gossip. Also, when you look back at Broadway stuff, like any Broadway lore, it's like impossible to ignore the role of the AIDS crisis and all of that, and hearing her talk about these friends that were really close to her who were fantastic creative minds in Broadway in the 70s to 80s, like who passed away because of AIDS. It's so heart-wrenching. I don't know, I was born in 2001 and I didn't have any context of what the AIDS crisis was, but it just really put into perspective like how many creative minds, like how much star power in musical theater as a community was lost. Like I didn't process how many people that were in the Broadway scene kind of lost all of their friends. It's not like a super heavy big part of the book, but it just like really hit me in a new way. because the AIDS crisis isn't something that I grew up knowing about or that I'm super familiar with. But it was interesting. And I think, yeah, I'm liking the book so far. So far I would recommend it. I don't know if anything crazy happens at the end, but I really like her voice, her cadence. She's like a really confident woman, and it's nice to hear someone's perspective on their life. And she's just so sure of herself. And I love hearing from women that are like that. I think that growing up, I was kind of taught that that wasn't the vibe, to be like sure of yourself, but she's always been a woman that's like, I'm talented. I never want kids. I know I want to be famous. Like, and it's just so cool to hear from someone who has been so successful. There's a very loud motorcycle outside. Okay, the next piece of media I've been consuming is fully insane, and I'm sorry. I watched all of Insatiable in like a week. If you're not familiar with Insatiable, it is a Debbie Ryan classic from like 2017. It is essentially an overweight girl, an obese high schooler, is made fun of all the time. She doesn't have any friends. She has a very sad life. She gets punched in the face. Her jaw is wired shut. I can't even say this. And then she wakes up skinny. Like 3 months she can't eat. Basically wakes up one day skinny and hot, and then becomes a pageant queen. And it is so campy. There's like so many murder plot lines. It's so insane. And it's like one of those shows that is so bad it's good. I watched it so quickly because it kind of gives like CW high school show vibes. I don't know who produced it originally, but I'm watching it on Netflix. Fully an insane show. Like cuckoo bananas. Cannot believe that came out on television. But I think I need to go reinvestigate the shows that were on when I was fully in the cult, like in the conservative religion that I grew up in. I was through like late elementary school, middle school, high school. I was very religious, so I didn't really consume any TV media outside of like occasional things I saw at friends' houses. You obviously know Glee was huge for me, but I just missed out on stuff, you know? So anyway, Matthew said to me, my best friend, if you love hate watching things, you should watch Riverdale. So I think I might start Riverdale. I'll let you know how it goes. What's going on with me? Ride the Pod is back, which is also huge for me, which is Mary Beth Barone and Benito Skinner's podcast. So good. Such a good podcast. They're they have insane gay guy, bisexual best friend energy. Reminds me so much of myself and my best friend Matthew. And they're just so silly. So I've been binge watching their episodes, which I've really liked lately. Oh my God, I saw the Odyssey, which I told you guys. I didn't love it. I'm not mad at anyone that did love it. It just wasn't my thing. I like emotional movement in stories, and I didn't feel like there was a lot of that in the Odyssey. I felt like it was very impressive in terms of cinema. Like it was impressive to shoot. There was these like beautiful sweeping shots of this giant ocean and like the boat, Odysseus's boat, traveling across the ocean, that were like very breathtaking images. You can tell that Christopher Nolan is such a good cinematographer, but I don't feel like it was written super well. I do agree with a lot of the takes that women were not necessarily compassionately written in this, or like written with an understanding that women are complex. I don't even know, but just the Odyssey wasn't for me. Music wise, I went home and listened to Epic the musical after I watched the Odyssey because it reminded me how much I love Percy Jackson. And if you know Percy Jackson, I think The Sea of Monsters, I think some of the Percy Jackson books were based on the Odyssey. And so like watching the Odyssey, I was just like, oh my God, this is Percy Jackson. They're both obviously based on the text. I know that the Odyssey movie was not based on Percy Jackson, but I went home and found out that someone wrote Epic the musical, which is an Odyssey musical. And it was so good. I love when gay people make stuff. I don't know if the people that made the Odyssey musical are gay. I love when artsy people make stuff. It's a really fun musical. I will fall in love with you over and over again. Anyway, I've been listening to that on repeat, which has been really fun. So that's been my music taste lately. Next segment, Forgive Me But. It's like, what do I even talk about when I'm by myself? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm alone. Matthew is at a wedding right now for a family friend, which is really cute. I was supposed to go to the wedding, but I couldn't because of the shingles, which is totally fine. But I just kind of wanted to hang out with you guys instead. Oh my God, Frankie turned 4. Frankie is my cat. I don't know where she is, but I love her. And I had like a mini birthday for her, and I bought her a piece of cardboard that's shaped like a laptop for her birthday. But I got her a year ago. It's been 1 year since I had a cat, and I'm obsessed with her so much. I think that I'm starting a cult for getting a cat. I think it changed my life in so many ways. Before I got a cat, I was like, it's so much commitment. I can't like commit to loving a thing for 10 years. That's really scary. But I have proved myself wrong over and over and over again that I'm like very capable of taking care of this thing. And it's been really good for me mentally. Like after I got the cat, I was like, oh shit, I probably should have gotten a mental health cat in college. Like I have a friend whose parents got her a dog in college because she was going to kill herself. And they were like, don't kill yourself. Here's a dog. And then it like really turned her around. And I was always a little skeptical. I was like, there's no way that a dog can keep you from killing yourself. And I think getting a pet is good. Like it has had a lot of positive implications for my life. I'm not going to kill myself, but why do you say these things on the podcast? I just mean if you feel nervous about your ability to like commit to something long term, especially with a cat, you're fine. Like if you have love in your heart and a good enough money to like pay for food, you have to like budget it out, obviously. The ROI on cat is really high. The first like couple weeks I got her, I was so nervous about having a new routine, having a new thing in my home. Like I was really scared. I was like, ugh, this thing, I made a mistake. This is horrible. And then after a couple weeks, it was just like, oh, I love her so much. Oh, she's perfect and tiny, and I love her with my whole entire heart. It's also weird that you can just go buy a cat. Like I went to a shelter and I paid $165 and then I just took her home. Like it feels $165 feels on one hand like really expensive for a shelter cat, and also so cheap because like that's a living thing with a soul. Like she's priceless. She's worth infinity dollars. You know what I mean? That's my baby. That's my fucking baby, and I love her so much. When we got her, Matthew and I went to a shelter in Evanston. It was Paws and Claws Rescue in Evanston, and it was like obviously a little gross in there. It smelled like pee. Classic shelter. A lot of shelters are underfunded. You guys know this. We go in and there's 2 rooms or 3 rooms. One of the rooms is for newborn kittens. One of the rooms is for like 1-year-old baby cats. And then there's a senior room. And Frankie, my 3-year-old baby cat, beautiful girl, was in the senior room. And I go in there and I'm like, that's my cat. She's perfect. Matthew actually picked her out first. He was like, that's a perfect cat. We should take her home. She was in the senior cat room because she got along the best with the seniors. She did not get along with kittens and other like energetic cats. And she had been at the shelter for months. They were like, no one wants her because she's not a kitten. So she's in the senior room, but she's only 3. And it made me so sad. And so I was like, well, I have to take her home. And she just means the world to me. If she comes up later, I'll try to like scoop her up and show you how cute she is because she's just the love of my life. So if you are in your 20s, I highly recommend getting a cat. If you're at any age, I highly recommend getting a cat. I look back on my life before I got a cat and I'm like, what did I even talk about? What did I even look at when I was bored? Like she's just so silly. She's so sweet. So that's my official recommendation to you. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, I have an idea for confessional, and it might be crazy to do. But on the show that I did, my live show, I had people write in confessions, and I didn't get to all of them on stage, and I want to react to people's confessions on this couch, if that's okay with you. So I'm going to go grab my box of papers from the live show, and I'm going to read people's confessions, which I think will be fun. Okay, I found them. I'm going to read them to you. I'm going to read you the prompt because I think it will help you understand the mindset we were in for the live show. Okay, it says, I'm happy you're here. It says, I'm so happy you're here. There's going to be a confessional segment of this show and I need your help. Tell me about your queer awakening, your first homoerotic friendship, the craziest religious rule you grew up with, something you did to convince yourself you were straight, something you used to believe but don't anymore, or tell me something juicy and I'll give you advice. Also, context about the show. At the beginning, I was like, welcome to the show. I am so curious about you all. Like, I want to take some demographic information. Clap if you're gay. Everybody screams. I go, clap if you're straight. Crickets. Not a single, I had 45 people in the audience. Not a single person was straight. There might have been a bi girl that brought her boyfriend, but I don't think he wanted to clap. But it was so funny that the audience was exclusively lesbians. Also, highest of compliments, I got complimented by the theater for how well my audience cleaned up after themselves. Like we had to get out of the theater pretty quick because there was another show after mine. And everyone cleaned up their tables. Everyone brought their cups and their napkins and like wiped off their tables. It was so clean. The theater told me it was a fantastic audience. They were so sweet. And I was like, well, obviously it's my audience and obviously it's lesbians. So you're welcome. And also thank you guys. It's like, I think you can oftentimes at concerts, I'll judge an artist by the audience that they bring. Like and obviously there are exceptions, but if an artist has an audience that is like really disrespectful of a space, I'm always kind of like, what are the vibes that you're putting out? So it felt like a really high compliment to have 45 genuinely really cool people, like really cool gay people, really considerate people in a room together. It felt very special. Okay, are you ready? These are the confessions. The first one is, in third grade, my friend and I used to go to the bathroom every once in a while to practice kissing. That's classic homoerotic friendship, because you just have to like rehearse for your boyfriends and make sure that you're good girlfriends. So I like this. Okay, when I was a kid, I was crying when gay marriage was legalized, but in an ally way. I did this too. I cried, but in a homophobic way when gay marriage was legalized. My parents were like really upset about it. I like remember this very vividly. And my kindergarten best friend, bisexual now, by the way, she had showed me a post that she made on her Instagram story of a drawing she made. She drew a rainbow and put like hashtag love is love on her Instagram story. Because of course that's what you do when you're 14 is that you draw a rainbow and post it on your Instagram story. And I cried so hard after seeing that because I was like, well, I lost her. Well, that's one more friend that the devil's got a hold of. And I was so devastated that my kindergarten best friend had become so sinful and so supportive of gay marriage. And I look back at that now and I'm like, girl, why did you care? Like, calm down. So anyway, I was like, grabbed my friend's phone and was stalking her Instagram to see like who was supportive of gay marriage because I was so against. Isn't that crazy? Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be telling you this stuff, but I think we all grow, we change. So I assume you all have been there too. And if you haven't, that's okay. Oh my God, embarrassing, but my queer awakening was Elastigirl, the mom in The Incredibles. Of fucking course your queer awakening was Elastigirl. I've said this on here before, but mine was the mom from the game plan. The ballet teacher from the game plan with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. She is so sexy. Her name is Monique. I don't remember what her last name is. But I just remember looking up pictures of her, like printing out photos of her on her, I just thought she was so cute. So that was big for me. There were more, but that's the biggest one that I remember. Okay, another confession. We did this one on stage, but I want to tell you guys about it because it's so funny. I'm here with my friend who's currently moving in with and in a long-term relationship with my ex-situationship. That's just incredible, by the way, to show up to my show with your friend that's dating your ex. I think that's really special. And I think that's what lesbians do. I'm working on this new joke. I don't want to like give it away, but basically about how like lesbians don't have exes. Lesbians do something far worse than exes, which is like always keep around your like network of people that you've slept with as close friends. And I just think it's like a really funny dynamic that queer people have where I think for a lot of us, family is maybe a little bit more important than sex. Like having platonic relationships, having family relationships is more important than sexual relationships. So if you have someone that you've slept with that you think is a cool person, like you don't have to cut them off completely. Obviously in a lot of cases I am wrong and you should absolutely cut off your ex, but I think it's interesting as a trend that queer people tend to keep their exes around. You know what I mean? I keep saying you know what I mean. We should have a shot every time I say that, and don't actually do a shot every time I say that because you'd be really drunk. Ugh, my rash hurts. That's something about me. Hannah, don't talk about your rash on the internet. They don't like it. Okay. Well, those were some of the ones that I wanted to read out loud that I didn't get to at the show. I didn't see this one. Okay, my craziest religious rule, no dancing or rhythmic movement. That's crazy. I grew up with that too. I remember I was on a mission trip in Jamaica. I no longer support short-term mission trips as a concept, but at the time it seemed cool. I was on a mission trip to Jamaica. We were on a pontoon boat and the captain started playing music. Also crazy that we were doing like vacation stuff on the mission trip. Anyway, the captain started playing music, so I started dancing, and our elder Mark of the church pulled me aside on this boat and was like, I need you to understand the effect that you have on men when you dance that way. Hey, call the cops. Hey, why don't we arrest that guy? And I thought about that for like, I don't know, for like months after that. I remember feeling so ashamed that I started dancing on the boat, and it's like, hey, like, let a diva dance without having a 60-year-old man be attracted to her. Like, what if we stopped being creepy? Have you ever thought about that? Also, Elder Mark married a girl that was 10 years younger than him. He was like 28 before he became the elder. He was 28 and he married his 17-year-old student. So who's the bad guy now, Elder Mark? Sometimes I worry if he'll see this stuff, but I don't think he believes in computers. So I think we're good. His family has like no TV, no computer, thank God. Something else that's cool about the Apostolic Christian Church of America is that like no suing is a big tenet of the church. And so sometimes I'm like, they're gonna kill me for saying this stuff about them. but it's all true, and I don't think they believe in suing. So I think I'm good. I think I'm fine. And if it's all stuff that happened to me, I don't think they should be allowed to be mad at it. Okay, I think that's all the confessions from the show I wanted to read. That was really fun for me. I have confession questions from you now. If you haven't listened to an episode in a while, we have a new segment. It's like a Google form in the link of this video, and then also in my bio on the crossmyheart.pod Instagram, where you can submit a question for me to answer, like a confessional question for the pod. I've been doing them with my last two guests. I did it with Dairy Queen and with Katie Kincaid. It was really fun, and I want to try it for at least a few more episodes to see if we like it, if we hate it. But I've printed some questions, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to read the next section of them to you and respond, because I honestly don't know what to talk about. I have gotten DMs that are very sweet from some of you that are like, I love this podcast. I love listening to it on my commute. Like, this just makes my day to hear you talking every week, whatever. And despite the shingles, I do want to have you have something to listen to. And I'm sorry if this is boring. Are you driving to work? Are you doing the dishes? Let me know in the comments in what context you watch this. Oh my God. Something I'm waking up, something I'm starting a cult for is watching media on your laptop like God intended. Mary Beth Brown has been posting on her story that much like the Odyssey is meant to be consumed on 70 millimeter, Galaxy Brain, the Mary Beth Brown stand-up special, is meant to be watched on a laptop in your bed. And I hadn't watched anything on a computer in my bed in forever, but I decided to watch Insatiable in my bed because I just hadn't been feeling well, and I didn't want to look at the TV because it was far, and I don't know. I have a rash. Anyway, I have syphilis. I have what is it? I have scurvy. I have shingles. And I was watching the TV in my bed. I was watching Insatiable in my bed, and it just really added to the experience, because some of the first media I consumed secretly as a kid, we talked about this, was my Asus laptop computer that was school issued in 6th grade. I would watch Brittany Santana edits on that laptop, and so it was just very nostalgic to watch TV on a laptop. So I highly recommend doing that. You should be watching this podcast on a laptop in your bed, or on your phone, or in your car, or honestly any way you know how. And because we're trying to get people to watch it. I got a manager recently, which is exciting, and we've set a goal to try to get 20,000 monthly downloads of the podcast. We get a lot more people that listen to it than watch it. So sometimes I'm like, should I post the videos? Do people watch the videos? So if you know a gay person and you could send them your favorite episode, it would mean the world to me. I'd love to get an editor working on it regularly, and I'd love to get, I don't know, you know what I mean? I'd love to have these opportunities come my way where I can worry a little bit less about work-life balance and having a full-time job, and worry a little bit more about yapping on my couch with my freaking guys. I have this dream of moving to New York City, and I need a lot of money to make that possible. And so my manager and I worked out the standard for starting to look at small podcast studios that would potentially get me ad placements for the podcast, which would make me money, would be 20,000 downloads a month. And I just think that's an interesting number. If you're curious, that's the bottom of the barrel for when you can get ad placements. And I get a lot more downloads for audio than I do for video. So we have we're not that far away in terms of listens. I'm really trying to make New York work, because every time I go, I fall more in love with it. Every time I go, I'm like, holy shit, I have to live here. Something magical always happens to me. I just got back from a trip to New York, actually, and it was incredible. I don't even know how to describe it, but I recorded Ashley Gavin's podcast with her, which was really fun. And then I did Gaydar with Ananaya, and then I did a few shows. I went to About to Bust Fest, which was Holmes's and Overcompensating, plays Haley Marie Matthews. Incredible comedian, ran an all femme and non-binary comedy festival, and I met just the coolest people that were all so kind. Being in a room in a green room in a space with all female comics that kick ass and are so kind at the same time. Me name dropping? No, I'm kidding. I'm a huge fan of Grace Ryder, and I got to meet Grace Ryder, and she's so sweet. Also, Amitha Rao from Adults. The nicest person I've ever met in my life. These people don't remember meeting me, by the way. This was just me going up and being like, hi, I really like your comedy. I think you're really funny. They were just so sweet and kind to me, and asking me questions about myself, and they didn't have to do that. And it was very, very cool. And then everyone got drunk and danced at the festival. And it was huge. It was really fun and I loved it. And I fell like so deeply in love with comedy. I got recognized by one of you in Brooklyn, which was really cool. I've only been recognized in Chicago so far. And it's been really weird and like also very fun to have people come up to me and be like, I love your videos. They really resonate with me. That's always cool. Like I said, it's like weird to be a person that speaks to my phone and then not like hear back from you. It sometimes makes me feel insane. So having you guys walk up to me and say hi is always very cool. But I was recognized in New York for the first time, and I've been like quite a few times, and it was a very cool, surreal experience to be like, oh my God, the things that I talk about in my bedroom in Chicago are things that people in Brooklyn, New York are hearing and resonating with. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a very out of body feeling, but I don't know. I love it. So I'd like to move there for comedy reasons. I want that experience, that feeling of being in a space where everyone is working so hard to get the thing they want. Like there's something so addictive about that vibe and that feeling. And it definitely exists in Chicago, but it's just like times 100 in New York, that feeling. And I just like want to, at least for a couple of years, like feel what that feels like to live in a space where everyone wants the same thing as you do. And I know it could obviously get toxic, but we'll see. You might see me in 2 years on this podcast couch crying because it didn't go the way I wanted to. But like, I just want to try. Like, I think that if I turn 30 and I haven't lived in New York yet, I'm 25 now, I would be like a little bummed, you know? Okay, anyway, back to confessional time. I am going to read 2 of your questions for me, and then we'll talk about them. Okay, this segment is called Dear Daddy Pod, by the way. I think it's corny, but Matthew liked it, and he's my official creative director, and I think it's fine, so no one can say anything about it. Okay. Dear Daddy Pod, I swear every woman I date is waiting for me to make every first move, first message, first date, etc., deciding if we're exclusive. It's always me. Then later, they'll tell me they liked me the whole time. I don't mind taking the lead sometimes, but at this point, I feel like if I disappeared, we'd both just sit there hoping the other person texted. Like heated rivalry, we didn't even kiss type of shit. Is this just a lesbian thing, or do I somehow keep finding the same person over and over? This is a fantastic question, and I'd love to talk about this. I have been frustrated in the past with dating women and that it always feels like I have to make the first move. Sometimes I want to be, for all intents and purposes, I don't mean this in a gendered way. Sometimes I just want to be the girl, okay? Sometimes I want someone to walk up to me and be like, you're so cute, can I ask you out? If you want someone to ask you out, you have to be so flirty. And I mean that. Like there is a way to tee someone up. I'm going to tell you about something toxic I did. And because it's a solo podcast episode, I'm going to pretend like no one can hear me say it. There was a girl I was seeing at the beginning of the year, and she, I think, took on more of like a forward role in the relationship, which was fun. I still have positive feelings about her. She was great. She came over to my house. We hooked up. She left her belt at my house. Because of this, by the way, all of my friends for the rest of my life will refer to her as Belt Girl. Okay. She left the next day and she sent me a text that was like, okay, I just want to be honest. I'm going through a divorce right now and I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know if I can see you again. I left my belt at your house. Can I come get it? First of all, I was like, is she like does she just want to hook up again? I know that this is me being toxic, me being a fuckboy. I was like, well, she left her belt. Maybe she left it on purpose because I would leave my belt on purpose. She was like, I left my belt. I need to see you again. Whatever. I look up the belt. It's an expensive belt, so I get that she just wanted to get her belt back genuinely. So I roll up the belt in like a little rib, like I tie it up with a little ribbon, and I put a note on it, and I obviously spray the note with perfume, and I write like hope you find what you're looking for. If you ever want to kiss again, you can text me, and I like write my number on the piece of paper, spray it with perfume, give it to her. She obviously texts me and is like, when can I see you again? Like there's a way to not have to make the move, but you're still making a move. Like I call the art of being a femme. Like you have to like tee up someone because it's scary. It's scary to like ask someone out, to give them your number, to tell someone that you're into them. So you have to make it really clear. Like both sides have to make it very clear that you're into each other. And that's what my favorite thing about being a lesbian is my favorite thing about being queer in general is like we don't have these rigid gender roles about like this is what a boy does and this is what a girl does. So it's so fun. It feels like a game of like chess or a game of tennis or something. Like you're going back and forth. That tension of who's gonna pay, who's gonna ask the first person to kiss them first, who's gonna hold the hand first, is like there's not a set script for that. And to me, that feels so exciting to be on lesbian dates and have that like rush of who's gonna do what. Because also, it's not, even in straight relationships, it's never like one person is doing all of the socially appropriate man things and one person's doing all the socially appropriate female things. Anyway, I think we're getting off track and I'm feeling a bit rambly. However, your question, which I've now forgotten, is how do I keep finding the same person? Like, yeah, is this just a lesbian thing? If you want the other person to make the first move, first of all, you can wait for a person that's like very forward. There are people out there that will just walk up to you and be like, you're hot, I'm obsessed with you. But you have to like flirt a little and make sure they know you're into it so then they can make that move. That was probably a crazy long roundabout way of saying that, but now you know my toxic story. Next question. Okay. Last 3 people I've matched with / hooked up with are people who are, quote, figuring things out, which is totally fine, except somehow I've always been the person that helps them figure it out. I've been a first date with a woman literally 3 times. At what point am I allowed to say I'd rather date someone who has already done the emotional work? Great question. I think it's at every queer person's life, you have a duty to the community. You have to be someone's first gay experience. If you're going to be gay, you had someone help you with your first gay experience, you have to give that back one time. Like, I think by lesbian law, you have to be someone else's first gay experience. Also, everything I've said thus far, I don't know if I mean. So let's just all keep that in our pockets and remember that for later. Both of these questions are kind of like, how do I find people different than the people I'm attracting? And I mean this with all of the love in my heart. But after some reflection and therapy, I found that I typically attract based on the vibe that I've been putting off. And I don't want to tell you to fix your vibe. That's not very good advice, nor is it kind. But if I were like your older sister or something and you were like, everyone is like not fully out yet, doesn't know what they're looking for, doesn't know their identity before we meet, like, what do? I would probably say keep putting yourself out there. That's the unfortunate shitty thing about dating. Like, some people, oh my God, like my friend Maddie, who I love with my whole heart, met her girlfriend, the first lesbian she ever dated, and they've been in love forever, and that's beautiful. And then I know people who have had like a lot of trial and error in the dating space, and that's also totally fine. But like, you deserve to find your person. I don't necessarily believe there's one person for everyone. I think there are probably multiple. But like, if you like these people that are figuring things out, that don't know what they want, you can date them. It's not illegal. It is absolutely within your right to go on a date with someone, hook up with someone, not like it, and not see it again. Like, I don't necessarily see it as a problem that you have been 3 women's first. Does that make sense? Like I think you're beating yourself up over something that is a little bit silly. And thank you for taking one for the team, by the way. Oh my God, this reminds me that I was a girl's first lesbian date last year, and it went terribly. But she texted me this year and was like, just wanted you to know, happy Pride. I'm a lesbian, and I'm so happy for her. Like, obviously I know you're a lesbian. You didn't know that when we went on a date, but like, welcome to the club. I'm happy for you. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sometimes I feel insane when I'm talking alone in my house. So that's what I'm up to. I made brownies today out of a box. I made gluten-free brownies. That was really fun. Is this fun? Are you almost at work yet? Okay, that was a weird segment. I'm sorry. I don't know if it worked, but that was Dear Daddy Pod. Let me know if you liked it. I currently am in a state of like not leaving the house, like I said, like because of like shingles and nerve pain, etc. And I am craving a really good documentary. I love documentaries. A couple of my favorites. I loved The Social Dilemma, The Social Network. You know what I'm talking about? The one about social media. And then I loved Join or Die. That was a really cool documentary. So if you have any really good documentaries, like any documentaries that you watch that were like, oh shit, this changed how I thought about something, please recommend them to me because I'm in dire need of that. I would also recommend that you join my mailing list if you want to come to a live show. I'm going to be doing a lot more of them coming up soon, and I'm really excited, especially if you live in Chicago, or I'm cooking up an East Coast tour for the fall, hopefully, or maybe the winter. So sign up for my mailing list so then I can basically show my manager, like, I have the most audience members in this state or whatever. You know what I mean? All of those links are in the description. That being said, I am on a lot of painkillers for shingles, which were prescribed, and I feel insane. And I love you. And you're so pretty. Thank you for listening to my shingles lore. And next week I'll talk to you again, and I hopefully won't have a rash then. And it might be another solo episode if I do have a rash. And you'll know, because you'll see me on the screen and you'll be like, oh, she's alone. She has a rash. So, bye.